Hails, minions and mortals, this is Fang von Rathenstein, lead singer of the most metal band on earth, the Lords of the Trident, and we are running 7 live streams every single month, including full band concerts, solo guitar shred sessions, and even classic Sega CD game playthroughs. So head on over to youtube.com/Lords of the Trident and twitch.tv/Lords of the Trident and subscribe. We've got a Patreon too, so check that out. Do it quick before Andy realizes he played the Lords ad and not the Lord ad.
Hi folks, welcome to the Anti-Social Podcast. Now, before we kick into this week's episode, you should heavily consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon.com/Andy Dowling is a lovely little place that I've created where you can, if you feel like it, support me and this little podcast of mine. And support starts from only $1 a month. That's right. It's just a tiny little bit of money that you can donate to the cause that comes out of your PayPal account or your credit card or whatever it might be, and you don't even notice it because it's only $1. It's dirt cheap. And look, you don't really get anything from it. You just get a little warm and fuzzy feeling, but rest assured that you're contributing to the bigger cause, which is Anti-Social. It's been going for 5 years now. 242 episodes as of right now, and what a thing to be a part of. Now, if you want to throw me some extra dollars, then you'll get access to an exclusive Patreon podcast each and every week that comes into your feed. And you can enjoy my soothing voice in your ear holes, and you'll enjoy it immensely. So that's patreon.com/Andy Dowling. Now let's kick into this week's episode. Hello. Episode 242 of the Anti-Social Podcast is here, and this week's guest is Wayne Joyner. Now, Wayne Joyner is a motion designer, and if you don't know what that is, I reckon Wayne will give you a really good understanding of that in this episode to come. Wayne has worked with a stack of amazing bands over the years, Dream Theater, Devin Townsend, Ayreon. He's worked with Prog Power USA. He's worked with us as well. He did our Chaos Raining clip. And most recently, he's also worked with Metal Church and Seven Dust and a bunch of other bands over the years. Just amazing work that Wayne's done. You can go and check out Wayne by going to waynejoyner.com. He's on Facebook as well, Wayne Joyner Creative. He's on Vimeo, vimeo.com/WayneJoy. And of course, if you just can't be bothered, you can just click on the show notes, antisocial.net, and click through on your podcast player. There'll be a bunch of clickable links to check out Wayne's world. But enough crapping on from me. Please enjoy this amazing chat with the great Wayne Joyner. I heard on the grapevine that your home team expanded a little bit this week.
Yeah, a little bit.
Congratulations.
Thanks, buddy.
How's this is a bit of an interesting question for you straight off the bat. From a non-parent to a parent, what's it like going through round 1 and now round 2?
Let's see, man. Round 1. Well, first of all, the first time my wife was in the hospital for a month. So we had a little bit of time to prepare for it, and he was born on time. This one came 6.5 weeks early.
Wow.
Yeah. So, she's still in the NICU. My wife's still in the hospital. So I kind of got the place to myself, which is kind of nice right now. I'm not going to lie to you.
Make the most of it.
But yeah. But man, it really doesn't get any easier. Just kind of sitting there waiting to go into the delivery room. I'm just as nervous. I'm like, oh, holy shit, what's about to happen?
Well, I've heard from friends of mine over the years when they've had their first child, and they say it's almost like you can't describe it until it happens. Like you can't sort of describe the experience or what goes through you. And I assume that would be a similar case for yourself, and on both occasions, even now with the new one coming along.
Yeah, man, and it's going to be different because I have a 4-year-old son, so I know how to handle him. I can wrangle him around and stuff. So having a girl is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a big different experience, I guess. That's what I hear. So
another dynamic.
little dynamic, man. And she's so tiny, dude. She was only 3.5 pounds when she was born.
Wow.
So, yeah. So,
Yeah, and especially what did you say? 6.5 weeks early?
6.5 weeks early. She was supposed to be born October.
Oh, jeez, wow. How much? I mean, I don't know how this works, but it sounds. People listening to this podcast are going, "Oh, here we go, Andy." Like, nice, explanation of how things work. But how much warning do you get? Like, obviously it's 6.5 weeks early, but are you sort of getting warning signs? 12 hours early or 24 hours early, and sort of leads up to it, or is it a pretty quick thing?
Well, no, actually, is my wife has high blood pressure,
Mm.
so it's like a blood pressure thing. So, just for the mother's health and the baby's health, they're like, well, when your blood pressure gets too high, we're just, it's can be damaging for both of you and life-threatening. So, we're just gonna take the baby and put you on some meds and put the baby in the NICU, and everybody will be okay in a few weeks. So,
There you go. Well,
yeah,
no doubt, a very sort of intense time and a lot going on, a lot
yeah,
of different emotions.
definitely, and staying busy on top of it.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's probably an interesting thing for yourself, given the work that you do. I would assume that for the most part, life doesn't change too much for you as far as what you do on a day-to-day basis with the type of work that you do.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Well, it slightly did this time because I tend to book my clients out about 2 to 3, sometimes 4 months in advance, just as like padding for me,
Mm.
just being a freelancer. This time around, I left my September open because I thought she was coming in September.
Mm.
So my August was like completely booked. So now my issue is trying to flip my schedule around. So I'm trying to, and the music business, like songs get released on certain days and all this. And so some clients understood, some clients didn't. I'm like, well, it is what it is, man. Family comes first.
Yeah.
But most were cool. Most were cool. I had some clients who were like, yeah, we'll give you a few extra days. Um, like for instance, I'm working on a new Seven Dust video,
Cool.
and my deadline was Tuesday.
Mm.
So, and I told them, I'm like, hey, there's no way I'm going to be able to have this done for you guys on Tuesday. Can you give me until Friday? And they're like, absolutely, we totally understand. So yeah, I just wrapped that video up not even 45 minutes ago.
Hey,
Sent it off
congrats.
to their yeah, thanks, bud. Sent it off to their label. Hopefully, it gets approved. We'll see. But yeah,
That's cool. Are those guys are from your neck of the woods as well, aren't they?
they are, man. They're local boys. They live here, same city I live in. I don't know them personally,
Mm.
but yeah, no, they're from here. And it's
Yeah.
still a great band. They've been around for a while and they've moved with the times, and they still sound great.
Yeah. Yeah. One of those bands that, at least from my point of view, and I guess being in the part of the world that I'm in, they burst out of the gates really quickly with the first couple of albums and got a lot of noise, and then at least from our end, they seemed to disappear for a little while. But looking back now, they've never stopped. They've just kept going, and they've just always sort of
Yeah.
they've got this real workhorse attitude that comes out of that band. So it's cool to see that they've still got stuff in the pipeline, and it's even more exciting to know that you're helping out in the background, and hopefully, as you said, that video gets approved, and I get to watch it in the near future. But yeah, it's cool. It must be exciting
Yeah,
to
man.
work with these guys.
Sometimes it is. Yeah, yeah. Most of the times I get to directly. There's three ways that I usually do this.
Mm.
It's I either work with the artist directly, which I really enjoy. I'll work with the label as like a proxy,
Hmm.
you know, and usually in that situation, uh, the artist is usually hard to work with,
Mm.
so the label kind of like stays in the middle. And then, or I'll work with a manager, which is pretty rare that I'll deal with a manager. That's
Mm.
more of like a promoter's thing. But yeah, that's usually how it is. But most of the time, man, it's just me and whoever the band leader is who calls the shots is who I'm working with.
Do you find that those situations where you're working with a label and they're acting as that middle person between the band and yourself, do you find that it actually takes longer on average to complete the project because you've got that extra step that you have to go through this middle person to try and get the feedback and wait for the turnaround? And also, as you said, like in some of these cases, the reason why they're there is because the artist is difficult as well. So do you find that on average that it usually takes a bit longer to get the job done?
Yeah, it does, because most of my clients are international. So like, say like if the label is in Italy and the client the band or the artist is in, say, like England. Yeah, it's a lot of like ping-ponging back and forth.
3 different time zones.
So yeah, so that can be pretty difficult.
Do you find with working with international artists, because I mean, you work for yourself, you've got your own business set up and you've got this portfolio of work and this reputation that you have, but working with all these international artists, do you find, or have you had challenges in the past with dealing with new information coming in at all these different times of the day and just keeping some sort of stability on your side of the fence with your own time and your own schedule? Because at least from my point of view, if my phone flashes and I see a really important message and it might be, say, 11 o'clock at night or 4 o'clock in the morning, or maybe I wake up in the middle of the night and unfortunately go and press my phone, which I shouldn't be doing, but I sometimes do, you're so compelled to sort of dive in and then you're in this rabbit hole. Do you find yourself sort of going through those challenges, or have you got a pretty good system in place?
I used to do that all the time, dude. When I first started doing that, and I'll still pick up my phone at 4 o'clock in the morning and look and see, just call the different time zones, to see if something gets approved or not. But I try not to, I try to like manage my schedule now. Before I was working all hours of the night, and now that I've gotten a little bit smoother at doing this, and a little bit better at getting into my clients' heads and knowing what they want, I can get my projects done a little bit faster. So I can have a little bit more time on my hands now. Not so much time, but yeah, man, it can be a 24-hour a day gig.
Yeah.
And my studio's at home. So if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and a video has to launch at 11 a.m. I have to come down here at 3 in the morning and make a real quick tweak and get it back over to them. So,
have you found that over the years you've got better with the way that you ask questions? Because I think a lot of artists out there struggle with, they'll have an idea in their head as far as what they want, but to be able to explain it to somebody else can be really tough. And I think that would be really difficult for any type of artist out there, regardless of what type of art you're putting together. Do you find that you've had to be a little bit smarter in the way that you try and extract that information out of the client to make sure that you're creating something that's going to appeal to them?
Well, honestly, usually, man, the artist, I always find that 99.9% of the bands that I work with don't know what they want. They don't know what they want. Yeah, they don't know what they want until they see it. But usually, man, I usually don't have to make a lot of tweaks on videos. That's cool. It's like simple stuff. So, but mostly, man, the bands that I work with, they just really give me the keys to create. I mean, they trust me enough to come up with something that's going to make them look good and get them thousands of views, hopefully millions one day. I've had a couple million views. I'm pushing, man. I'm working on it. But yeah. I mean, most bands, like for instance, the Dream Theater guys totally gave me 100% creativity.
Yeah, wow, that's huge.
Which you wouldn't think they would, but they did. They're like, dude, you do your thing, and I kind of had to prove myself to those dudes first. But once I was proven with them, they're like, "Hey, you're our guy. Here's the ball. You run with it. We're gonna love everything you do." So.
I mean, it's huge praise. I was looking on your website, and you have like a little reviews, testimonial sort of section with a few small names on there. Like, there's some amazing, like, just bits of praise from these metal and rock gods out there that a lot of us have looked up to over the years. And these guys are just saying, your work's incredible, and they've got faith in what you do. And I think that's just, I mean, you can't pay for that. You've got to earn that, and you've obviously been grinding it out for years to get to where you are now. But I mean, just touching on the Dream Theater thing, and I made a note about this because I'd love to just get a bit of your insight as far as what was going through your head when you were tasked with the mission to do live visuals was it for Metropolis Part 2?
Yeah, dude, they did 2 sets. They did. Well, how all that started, I'll give you the backstory on that. So before they signed, and that was always a goal of mine, because, I grew up in the whole prog power scene and everything, and, I wanted to work with the top dogs there, So I'm like, before they signed to Inside Out, Thomas, who is the main guy over there, I'm like, Thomas, listen, dude. I know you just signed these guys. It's my dream to work with them. and if I can get that, because I already worked with Devin a few times on the label, and that's a whole nother story. but with Dream Theater, I'm like, hey, man, this is a dream of mine. I want to work with these guys. I think I can do something for them that's never been done before. I did that big Ayreon universe thing. I can do that for them, and he's like, listen, Thomas is like, listen, they're not so interested with working with anybody in the industry, like in the prog industry, because they don't want to be like everybody else, which is totally understandable. And I was like, I understand. So he's like, just to keep expectations low, it's probably not going to happen. I'm like, okay, no problem. It's all good. I understand. So this is like 2017. About 6, 7, 8 months later, I guess they just finished recording that last album, Distance Over Time.
Yep.
I get a call from Thomas, and he's like, "Hey man, the guys have some interest, And I'm like, "Oh wow!" I'm like, "Holy shit! All right, okay." So they want to try you out. So what we're gonna do is pick a song. Let's do kind of like an audition. Pick a song, and of course I'd pick an instrumental, so it'd be so much easier. So I took Overture 1928, cool. And I threw my style on it, and John and Jordan loved it, and they're like, "You got the gig, dude." And what was cool about that is not only did I get to reimagine the whole Scenes from a Memory set, I got to do a video or a visualizer for every single song off the new album.
Wow.
So it was about 6 months worth of work. But they used that in both sets as well. So, and for this last tour they did, I designed their backdrop, 2 backdrops, animated backdrops. The whole first set was all the distant stuff, So, and then the second set was all the Scenes from a Memory, which I had to go back and re-listen to the album and like try to understand the story and come up with characters. And I worked really closely with John on that and how he wanted the characters to look and give it this kind of manga kind of anime look to it. And yeah, man, it was a huge success. And, compared to their last tour, they did that big, astonishing LED, huge whatever they did. It was like a massive thing. And they had like a team of like 30 people.
Wow.
And, yeah. And this time around, it was just me. So But it worked out, and man, it was the opportunity of a lifetime, and hopefully one day again they'll want to do that with me again. John, I'm working with John on a solo project, just did a video for him, some promos. So yeah, man, it's been amazing. It's been great.
I mean, when you got that call, just to say, look, the guys are interested, and here's an opportunity to, as you said, like, more or less throw some sort of audition, together to send over to them. I mean, what was going through your head at the time? Were you pretty confident that you were the guy for the job, and it was just a matter of time when it was all going to fall into place, or were the nerves sort of really setting in, and there's a lot of that, like that old imposter syndrome kicking in, where you're like, oh, geez, I don't know if have I overshot the mark here? have I dived into the deep end?
Yeah, sort of, man. I kind of tend to overthink things a lot. So when I'm working on a video, I will overthink it, and I'm like, oh man, it's just like, this is taking too long, and I'm like, just like, sometimes less is more, but not really. It was one of those things. If I didn't get the gig, I didn't get the gig. There's other fish in the sea, but it worked out, and it just kind of happened, and John and I have become great friends, and it's been, and Jordan, so it's been great.
And as you said, you just finished working on some of John's promo stuff for his new album as well. I mean, how did that compare? You're dealing with a guy who, as you said, was really sort of actively involved with you to put together the Scenes from a Memory, visuals, and that would be one of his big babies from over the years, like a huge project that band was involved with. So how was it different working under that set of circumstances with that album, with a lot of weight around it, because just it's a fan favorite, it's got a lot of reputation and legacy, and then transitioning over to working on a brand new solo album for John, which would have been equally as important to him, but probably a very different set of circumstances. How did the two compare?
Well, he with the scene stuff, he's like, I don't want my stuff to look like Dream Theater at all. He's like, I don't want it to look like Liquid Tensions, anything from the past. So I'm like, oh, okay, we can do that. So he wanted to do like a studio documentary type video, him in the studio, him and, like Mike hanging out, the fans love all that kind of stuff. So originally I think he was going to do 2 videos, and I don't know why, he just one now. But I'm like, let's kind of take this to the next level, man. Since it's terminal velocity, it's all about speed. Let me animate like a giant hadron collider. Let's create some black holes because you're playing so fast. You're opening up the time warp. Let's just make something really, really cool, dude. And he's like, let's go for it, man.
Yep.
So and it doesn't look like Dream Theater. It looks like his own thing, and he loves it. And man, I think it's getting close to 1 million views, which is a milestone for me, because I'm so. But yeah, no, he was just he's such a gentleman always. He's a hero on stage and a hero off stage. Such a great dude to work with.
Yeah, his public persona is certainly a very, very relaxed guy and a personable sort of personality that's put out there. He doesn't seem to be a difficult person or a difficult personality, but you never know. If you're on the outside looking in, you sort of think, well, that might be what the outside looks like, but when it comes to working on your craft, it could be a very different story, a very different beast that you could be dealing with. So I assume that there'd be a level of intensity regarding, I guess, making sure that he gets what he wants, but just from what you said, it sounds like, more or less what you see is what you get.
Yeah, he's super cool, man. And as far as my experience, he has been an absolute pleasure to work with. 100% all the way. So
that's cool. There you go. Nice and reassuring to know that the perception of him is equal behind the scenes as well. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How does it compare working with John and Jordan and just those guys collectively with, as you quickly mentioned before, like working with someone like Devon, is it a completely different scenario again as far as that dynamic and sort of the collaboration and going back and forth?
Completely different. Completely different, man. Like, Devin is the only client that I have not been able to get inside of his head.
Yeah, right.
I can, I can get inside a client's head. I know what they want, turn it around, and they love it. Devin, is tough, man. Sometimes he likes things, sometimes he doesn't like. He changes his mind a lot. He's just a very personable guy, nice as can be, super, super nice, friendly guy. But he's an artist, and he's a surrealist artist, which is even more difficult. But I love working with him because I really get to get experimental. So I did that cat flying through the galaxy video for him, which was so much fun, man. He's like, I want this to look like it was done by 5 or 6 different artists. So I'm like, okay, let me see if I can try to pull that off, man. So and it worked, and it looked like it was done by a couple different people, and it wasn't. So, but Devin's cool. Devin does his thing. Devin changes his mind every 5 minutes. So it's equally as fun, but equally as difficult, challenging, but I'm always up for a good challenge. So
no doubt you would have learned a lot working with somebody like that who might not be your standard client, in the fact that, as you said before, like a lot of the people that you work with will put a lot of the trust in your hands, and once they see it, then they can sort of, work out whether they like it or not. But just describing Devin, it sounds like he kind of knows what he wants in his head, even though that might change quite frequently, which is tough in itself. But once obviously the visuals are there, then he's probably got a lot more say as far as what he likes and what he doesn't like versus probably your typical client.
Yeah, it goes deep. It goes deep with him. Yeah, it goes deep, man. It's like everything that I end up doing for Devin looks like a DMT trip. So it's one of those things, man. So, and I don't even drink coffee. So it's
so you're really getting pushed out of your comfort zone then.
Yeah. So
it's almost like you're the only thing that you're taking is a little bit of Devin, to be honest. I mean, Devin's the one that's drip feeding his world into yours, and you're trying to grapple that one. So I guess it's a trip in itself.
Yes. Yeah, he's getting inside my head. Yeah. That's what he's doing.
Oh, how does this work from I understand in the music industry and being in a band, and how the growth of your band and getting better and getting a better reputation and getting more people to follow you and more success. And a lot of that comes from obviously hard work, but it's also networking and building up that portfolio and that reputation. I assume it's probably a very similar thing to yourself, where you started working with a couple of people and it's more of a case of just getting that foot in the door, and then that's led to the next opportunity, and it's just been a bit of a chain reaction after that.
Yeah, it has been. And, I've been doing this for 20 years. So, I worked at a lot of different places before I started doing the music stuff, which really helped with experience. I worked here at the Weather Channel here in Atlanta for many years. And I get to work with like the giant screens in the backgrounds and build hurricanes and tornadoes and all that kind of stuff. So I get a lot of experience like that. So that really paid off doing like the live visual stuff, telling that kind of story, like visually live. But yeah, man, once I started doing this, well, I guess I can trace it back to 2008. When I started working for Prog Power, and just started out doing T-shirts, and that's a funny thing too, is because to get that gig, I won a T-shirt contest. Glenn had a T-shirt contest, and I was like, let me see what I can do here, and I won the T-shirt contest, and 25 years later, here we are. fun. so, so yeah, man. So that's kind of how I got my foot in the door, and I decided, I really want to go into music and do some things, and at the time when I started doing this kind of stuff, like these lyric videos and animated videos, I guess it was like 2015. They didn't. I mean, and not knocking on anybody's work, man, or other artists. It didn't look good. You know, they were cheesy. They were PowerPoint presentation looking type things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. So, I really wanted to try to bring it into push the limit of making lyric videos and animated videos almost just as good, if not better, as real performance videos. So, and that's what I try to do with your band's video. Just stuff like that, man. I always really try to overachieve with everything I do. I'm never satisfied with any project I ever work on. I'm never happy with anything I work on, which is I'm a bit of a tormented soul like that, which is a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah.
If I ever get complacent or happy with what I do, then it's going to show in my work, and my work's going to get sloppy, and it's just going to all start to look the same and mundane. So just by me pushing myself and never being satisfied, I feel like that really helps me to keep getting better and better at doing this kind of thing.
Yeah, I think you need a level of frustration in everything that you do, because if there's not even just this little tiny fragment of frustration in your life, then, as you said, you get complacent and you might be comfortable for a very short period of time, but then things start to get stale and things start to become problems which weren't problems before. So yeah, it's a funny thing, because I think a lot of people don't want to be frustrated. They hate the feeling, but you kind of need it. It's like an integral ingredient in life in general, just to always be wanting to take action, or just to get through the day. You need something to drive you, and usually that's some level of frustration there. So yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. I think I think you definitely need it. One thing, I was a couple of different tangents I was going to go on, but one in particular, just about the lyric video in particular. It sounds like you're hyper aware of, I guess, the reputation of what lyric videos have become over the years, since when they first started getting used. And as you mentioned, sort of the PowerPoint presentation sort of slide deck sort of look, which I've certainly seen. And I think a lot of, it's hard, because I'm a music fan myself, and so I love to watch what other bands do and bands that I love. But I kind of see it from a different perspective again, because I'm also in a band, and so I understand how sort of it works on the other side of the fence. But for me, like I've always looked at the lyric video as, especially after the first few goes and the first couple of years of bands starting to do it, that it was almost like this throwaway thing that was not very exciting. It was almost like a tick and flick sort of thing in your promotional campaign. Oh, well, better go and do a lyric video. It's nice and easy. Just slap one together and just chuck it out there. And so for you,
let's just pay somebody $50 and get something done and get it out the door.
And it doesn't, it doesn't really do anything. And I think that's sort of hurt the reputation of what it is. But I guess for you, and I think the work that you do obviously is completely different to what it has been in the past. But is this a level of frustration that you have for yourself, where when you get tasked with doing a lyric video in particular, that you sort of go, how do I continue to make this fresh and exciting and different, so that it can be engaging, and it continues to remove the stigma of what the lyric video unfortunately used to be in the past?
Sometimes, man, and I really try not to. And I know I really try not to read YouTube comments, because some of those, man, some of these, there's not some nice people on there, you know. So, and sometimes, I mean, lyric videos can be cheesy or whatever, but the way that I approach these, and really not, and it really helps not running out of ideas quite yet, but I really try to approach these almost in a cinematic type approach. Like for your video, for instance, like the big robots in the background and the bullets falling. It's there's not necessarily a storyline with that, but it's abstract enough where people can put two and two together and understand what's going on. So I would kind of say that's kind of like my style. It's almost like a abstract, cinematic, surrealist, I don't know, vibe to it, I guess, you know?
It's almost like creating that atmosphere around the song itself, rather than, because I mean, like when I think of cheesy, I think of something that's very literal. It's you know, we are singing about dragons, so here's a dragon, and you know, or whatever it might be, you know, just whatever example, and so because it's so literal, it becomes very sort of, it's almost one dimensional in feel, and then you fall into that trap of it being very cheesy and lacking substance. So I think you're sort of on the right track as far as, you know, trying to create, you know, going down that abstract path where you sort of create this ambience around the song itself to try and capture the feel of the song, rather than trying to visually interpret the lyrics down to each syllable. You know, it's not the same.
Yeah, I really try to make a lot of these feel like you're watching a movie.
Cool.
You know, rather than someone just, okay, yep, brand new song's out, hit play on YouTube, walk away. You know, I really want the listener or viewer to watch it along with the new track. You know, that's my goal. I want them to enjoy what they're watching just as much as what they're listening to.
I was just thinking that this is the first time I've ever thought of this, but maybe a good way, because I mean, obviously when I looked at the video you did for us, it was like fantastic. It was way better than I was expecting, because I had no idea what to expect. And I've seen your other work as well, and maybe a way to continue to move further and further away from the stigma of a lyric video is that bands should just stop calling them lyric videos. I mean, it's an official video of the band, and maybe that's what
it is an official video.
Yeah, and I think that might even get more people viewing the videos, because, you know, there will be certain people out there that will just see lyric video and go, well, I'm not going to watch that because it's just a lyric video, big deal. And so they miss out. So maybe I think bands probably need to, and you know, I might do this after we get off the call, I'm going to go and change the titles on YouTube and everywhere and just call it the official video, and that's it. I don't know if we've done that. Anyway, I'll have to have a look.
There's been a few. Like there's one I did for Devin with the cat flying.
Yep.
Yeah. The Paralyzed video I did for Dream Theater was an official video. But you know, man, and always sometimes like they don't need lyrics on the video. That's you know, right. I did that for Jordan. You know, I did a video. It was all this trippy, abstract stuff, and it worked. And there were no lyrics. So it's an official animated video.
That's right.
You know, so there's that aspect too. So yeah, you know, I think you're right. We're at a time where, you know, the word lyric video, we probably should move on to something else.
Because I think, I think we sort of cheapen it a little bit. I mean, not intentionally, but I think just because we go, well, it's a lyric video, and that's what you put in there. And I think because that stigma's there, unfortunately, it might deter people. So, and yeah, really, I mean, it's an official video. It's the song that we've chosen to represent. It's the video that we've chosen to represent that song. So it is what it is. It's nothing less than that, or it's nothing different. It's the official video. There's not, unless you've got like several video clips for the one song, which would be ultra confusing. But that's
like a visualizer where it's just like the animated album cover, like moving little 5 minutes, you know, like that kind of stuff happened. That too, and that's a little cheesy too. But well, just like the video I did for you guys, I mean, that was an official video.
Yeah, that's
you know, it just happened to have lyrics on it.
That's right. Yeah. There you go. I'll have to go and check out all of our titles now. I'm pretty sure I called it official video, but who knows? Lyric could be in there, and if it is, I'm removing it.
Cool, man. But like, I've always been a guy. I really like to push the boundaries, and I really like to try to stay ahead of the curve of things. So one thing that I'm doing now is I really want to start incorporating what I do with lyric videos with performance videos. So either it's 3D animation, kind of like what I did with John, sort of, but having 2D drawn hand stuff and performance videos, all in one. Just lyrics, they can be in there or not, but like just one, all of it all together. Just performance video. We'll throw some lyrics in there. If it's during the chorus, we can throw the chorus lyrics up, and that can be it. Just I would really start to like try to territorial on some things, and some of the labels that I work for are kind of starting to let me do that a little bit. So that's something I'd like to kind of start moving into. And I'd love to start, directing and doing full-blown, performance videos and being able to do that kind of stuff with it too, because I don't see a lot of bands doing that.
No.
At least not like in our genre. I'll see it like in synthwave or, other kinds of music. They're doing it, but like in our genre and stuff, I think, man, I mean, we could it's the future, the future of this.
I think sometimes we collectively in sort of rock and metal, we kind of do ourselves a disservice because we love nostalgia. We love what's comfortable from the past, and we try to hold on to that for as long as we can until it becomes stale. So it's almost like complacency that kicks in. And I think the way that the bands that pop their head above the rest and have continued success are the ones that are willing to take a risk and try something new and continue to, especially in the prog world, be progressive. Progress forward and try new things. So. Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what you come up with and what bands decide to sort of run with these new ideas.
Yeah, and I actually have a few coming up that I think I can talk about. I hope I can talk about.
Oh, you let me know afterwards. If not, yeah, I can clip it out.
Well, if not, you can edit this out, right?
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
But I'm sure it's okay. So yeah, I did like kind of a cheesy cartoon video for a band called Tokyo Motor Fist earlier this year. It's hand drawn, everything animated. And I really enjoyed doing that. So Andy James reached out to me, the amazing guitar shredder Andy James. He wants to do a video, like a Halloween creepy video that's all going to be animated. So that will probably be my next project for September and October.
Cool.
So I'm 50% sure I can talk about that. So if
you can let me know.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So it'd be fun working with him.
And I guess, as you said, sort of trying these new methods, these new approaches, and different ways to visualize and represent music. It's it potentially opens new doors for you again to continue to move in that direction and continue to evolve as an artist yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's once I get to the day that I feel like I'm not growing, I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna be like, what? If I'm fresh out of ideas and it's not me anymore, I'm gonna go back to corporate America.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I can't see that happening, but it's good to have in the back of your head as far as a bit of a motivator.
Yeah, but I'm sure, man. Like music's always changing. The business changes like every 6 months, so you never know what's going to happen. So,
have you noticed a change in the volume of requests that you get, or just the type of work that you get just this year because of everything that's happened globally?
You mean like how record labels and stuff like that have changed over the years, or?
Oh no, just this year, as far as with all the COVID stuff that's happened, just bands having to sort of, there's not as much touring happening now, or virtually none, and bands are sort of making different decisions as far as how they release music. Have you noticed a difference with the work that you're getting, or is it more of a case of just the same old for the most part?
Yeah, well, it's an unfortunate situation for the bands, but for me, I mean, it's been like overwhelming. Since bands can't get together to shoot their performance videos, they can't go on tour. They need some form of promotion. So, I'm getting hit up with like so many videos. It's been so busy, man. Which has been a blessing because, I got my daughter and I was able to save up a little bit. And so 2020 hasn't been so bad for me. I get to work from home anyway. So, but it's, yeah, man. I mean, work has been twice as much as it has ever been. I do miss doing the live visual stuff. Hopefully I can get to do again that next year. And when Iron Maiden or Metallica goes on tour, maybe they'll give me a call.
That'd be nice.
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? So, but yeah, no, it's work's been busy, man. It's been steady. It's been good. So.
No, that's good. I mean, I think that's, you have to try and make the most of the situation that you're in, and where so many people around the world are in a disadvantaged position because of what's been happening. But at the same time, I think because we've been forced to have to change the way we do everything, I think that also creates opportunity as well. And so there's a lot of silver linings there if you're willing to look for them. So it's good. It's great it's awesome to hear that, you've been able to sort of benefit in a way of what's been happening, because I think a lot of people need to find those silver linings where they can. And I think for you were set up, and the type of work that you do is pretty much primed for situations like this, which is great. And
man, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, it just kind of played in my favor a little bit,
And it's good because I think bands obviously need to keep moving somehow and continue to do things and keep in front of people's eyes and keep their attention. So it's good that bands can utilize people like yourself who can continue to create a great visual for them and represent their music as best as they can. So it's good that bands can still continue to keep the needle moving during this time where, traditionally it might be a case where a lot of bands were planning to tour this year and can't, but they can still do other things in the meantime.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, that's how it is, man. And hopefully concerts will start back, and at least by 2025, maybe. I don't know.
I know. Oh God. Well, man, I see tours getting booked for next year, early next year, and I'm like, oh, guys, like that's. Look, I get it. I get why they're trying to do it, and they're trying to get in early and lock things in just in case. But don't put too much money on the line, because I don't know how it's gonna pan out. It doesn't look good, so we'll see what happens.
I'd say give it at least. Even if it does happen, you're going to see like half empty crowds. So I say 2 years, maybe. I don't know. That's just my guesstimate, but who knows? I could be wrong.
Oh, who knows?
So, but who knows, man? But no Prog Power this year. That was supposed to happen in a few weeks. So, and unfortunately, that had to get postponed. But
how does that feel for you? Because you've been part of that Prog Power family for many years, and mentioning before putting your hat in the ring for the t-shirt competition as well. And I mean, I've been to two of them, and you certainly get the buzz and the excitement of being part of such a great community of people. And I'm feeling for so many of you guys, because it's this yearly pilgrimage. For you, not that far, but it's that yearly community get together of these great people and these great bands. And this year, it's just not happening.
Yeah, it's man. I feel for it. I mean, people are. I don't know. I guess you guys stay home and play Xbox or PlayStation or something, man. But for me, it's I work on the roster video all summer for
Mm.
Glenn.
Yep.
When he books his bands and I put his video together, and it takes me all summer to do. So this summer, I'm like, man, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to fill the void. So I get to work on John's stuff this summer. So that was my summertime job this year.
Nice. It's not a bad compromise.
Not a bad. It equals out.
Yeah. Hey, one thing I noticed on your website is that you got 2 Emmy nominations. What were they for?
I did, man. I work for this a huge corporate thing back here in Atlanta back in the early 2000s, 2004, 2005. And yeah, man, I was like 24, 25 years old, and I got to work on some documentaries. And they got nominated for Emmys,
Wow, that's cool.
which was pretty cool, man. And I didn't win, but it's still pretty cool to have on the resume,
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, hopefully one day I can get a video in the Prague Awards or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I mean, just from a legitimacy perspective, like when you're trying to, sell a concept or put a proposal out to a client or something like that, or even like as you said before, speaking to a label directly and putting the feelers out to work with an artist. I mean, you can put all this stuff in there to sort of say, hey, this is, I'm not just some novice that's starting out and just wants some experience and wants to work with, great people just because I want to.
Yeah.
Like I can back this up, and here's what I've done so far. Here are the achievements. So,
Yeah.
I mean, not many people can say they've got Emmy nominations. I mean, when I saw that, I went, oh shit, I've definitely got to ask you about that.
Yeah, well, dude, I really had to hustle at first, man, when I was doing the music stuff. Like, nobody would give me the time of day at all. I'm like, all right, I really can do this kind of stuff if you let me, And the first record label that gave me a chance was Prosthetic. I don't know if you know those guys.
Yeah.
And they gave me a chance, and I did some videos for them, and it just started climbing the ladder from there. It was those guys, and then Inside Out came along, and then thank God Frontiers came along, because Frontiers, they're amazing. They give me so much work, man, and they have so many awesome bands on that label, like Striper, LA Guns, the older bands, man, that still have lots of fans. And Frontiers really take care of me, man. They're the greatest. I love working with those guys. And then Mascot came along, and I do a lot of stuff for those guys. Done a few things for AFM. They don't call too much, but I think they may have an in-house guy who does some things. Some labels still won't answer my emails. Nuclear Blast.
Yeah.
They won't answer my emails. Yeah, no, I've tried. Napalm, they won't answer my emails. It's all good. My feelings aren't hurt.
It is what it is.
Metal Blade, that's another one.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I got enough work.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but it feels good now that I don't really have to kind of, I did it first. I had to go out looking for work, and it was like cold calling. I was like, hey, listen, I can do this. Give me a chance. But now it's kind of reversed a little bit. It's like, they kind of like reach out to me now, and I have a hard time saying no to a lot of bands, but that's kind of how it is now. So, which I'm very blessed that I'm in a situation where they're reaching out to me and people want to work with me. It makes me feel great.
That hard work pays off, and it's a patience game, isn't it? I mean, it's being persistent and just keep doing what you're doing. But eventually, the old cliche, you build it and they'll come.
Yeah, very true, man. Very true, dude. It definitely is.
With the t-shirt competition you're speaking about before, and sort of throwing your hat in the ring and just going, oh, well, see what I can do with it. And obviously that gave you a foot in the door when it came to sort of going down this path of music. When you put you put your entry in for this competition, had you already in the back of your mind made a sort of a mental decision that you wanted to move more in a direction of music, or was it only after sort of winning the competition and sort of starting to see those initial opportunities that you thought, hey, this is something I actually really want to do full time, or want to gravitate in that direction more?
Well, I guess I've always, 'cause since I'm a musician, I've always wanted to work in the music business somehow. But at that time, I was working at the Weather Channel here in Atlanta, and that was cool. But I made contacts, while I was there, meeting bands, making contacts, and that's really how it paid off, man. By the time that, working for a big corporation like the Weather Channel, fortunately I got laid off with a whole bunch of other people in 2015, and I didn't have anywhere to go. So I called those contacts, and that's just how it happened, man. It did, that's what the music business is. It's a business of relationships.
It is, yeah, definitely. Do you think that if you weren't laid off in 2015, that it may have taken you a little bit longer to take those next steps as far as pushing out into those contacts? Because I think I see that with a lot of friends of mine who have, they've got moderately comfortable jobs, just traditional jobs, working for a corporation, a business, and they've got their side hustle, their passion project, and probably would not take that big step because they're still relatively comfortable, and it'll take longer for them to make that decision. Do you think that it would have taken longer for you?
Maybe it is scary making the leap, and I did get a few job offers, but I would have had to relocate. Like, and the U.S. is a big place, like Australia. I had an offer with UFC Ultimate Fighting.
Wow.
They wanted me to come out and do promos for them, but I would have had to move to Las Vegas, and my wife didn't want to do that. So, and then I had an offer with NASCAR, but I would have to move to Charlotte and do promos for them, but didn't want to do that. And then WWE with wrestling, doing promos for those guys, but then I would have to move all the way up to Connecticut. Didn't want to do that. Wow. So I'm like, what can I do here? Just let me just see what I can do and try and work my way into this music business and do something that's really never been done before, and it's paid off. At least I think. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, you've created your own thing just by hustling and working hard and finding those contacts and building it up, building your reputation, and you've got the best of both worlds. You're living where you want to live, and you've got the versatility of just picking and choosing what you do. And now, as you said before, you got people coming to you, asking for work, and so it's perfect.
Yeah, man. I got Bruce Dickinson's going to call me this evening, and just kidding. Just kidding. He's up next. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, never say never. You never, like, as you would have been. Hey, like when you were first getting started and reaching out to those contacts back in 2015. I mean, you probably didn't know what you'd be doing now, and a lot of the stuff that you've accomplished. Who knows what the future's going to bring for you? It's exciting.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's like the whole Ayreon thing. It's like I reached out to him, and he didn't know who I was or anything. He's like, hey, man, I want you to do all these videos for me, and do this big live show for me with this big 3-story screen. I'm like, holy shit, dude, what have I got myself into? And but that turned out to be pretty cool, and that's kind of what launched if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have got the Dream Theater gig.
Yeah.
So
was he a similar guy to Devin as far as somebody who had a very, I don't know, eccentric sort of personality, and somebody that really sort of creatively just exciting to work with, but potentially challenging because they're so engrossed in it's their project, it's their whole world?
I would say yes, but the difference with him and Devin is Arjun is the type of guy, he kind of kills you with kindness. He has a way, if you do something that he doesn't like, he has a way of saying things to you to make you feel good about yourself. Like, he's really good at positive reinforcement.
Right.
You know? So I'm like, you know what? He's right. I can do this better. You know? So that's how he gets people, and that's why he has so many people that want to work with him.
Mm.
You know? And he knows what he wants, and he's a superstar. He's an icon.
Mm.
And there's a reason for that. But he's awesome to work with, and hopefully one day I can work with him again.
Man, like, exciting times. Like, I just, watching what you've done over the years and all these new opportunities. I didn't know about the John Petrucci solo album and what you're working on with him until obviously the announcement came out, and I went, oh yeah, well done. Like, what another great achievement for you. And it's just reading those,
so top secret, man.
Yeah. But it's cool. Like, it's exciting to see, what you're doing and what you continue to be involved with. And yeah, who's gonna call you next and ask for a job. So it's exciting.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man. And the funny thing with John is, like, I don't let John pay with money. I let John pay me with guitars. So
that's where they come from.
Yeah, that's where they come from. And some things are worth more than money, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, John and I are bros. I'm like, hey man, you know what? Just get Ernie Ball to send me a Majesty. I'm happy with it. That's all you got to do. He's like, you got it, bud.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. I mean, it makes it so much more exciting and interesting because you got a story, attached to that guitar, and just obviously the relationship there is incredibly important as well. So I love it. That's so cool.
Yeah, very cool, man. So I've gotten 2 from him so far. One's actually a custom made, and one I got 2 days ago. It's the Kinetic Blue. It's pretty cool.
I've been looking at your photos, trying to get that color showing up in the photo. So it looks
it's really
very
difficult,
nice.
Man. And some nights it looks purple, some nights it looks green, some nights it looks blue. It's I don't know how they do that, man. Ernie Ball, every guitar they make is like a piece of art, dude. It should be. They cost enough to be worth hard work.
Yeah, they're not cheap. They're not cheap at all. I mean,
they're not cheap.
And probably an appreciating asset as well. So, that it'll probably be worth even more later on down the track as well. Especially, not that you're holding them for value to appreciate, but the story that's attached to that guitar and where it's come from and why you have it makes it absolutely priceless as well. So it's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and that's stuff I can pass down to my kids one day.
Yeah,
that's my inheritance. I'm the starving artist, so my kids will get the John Petrucci guitars.
And that's a wrap. If you want to reach out to Wayne, you can do so by going to waynejoyner.com. He's also on Facebook, Wayne Joyner Creative, and on Vimeo, vimeo.com/WayneJoy. I'll have all the links in the show notes over at andysocial.net and andydowling.net. Nice and easy for you folks, and you should be able to tap through on your little podcast player as well. Now, before we wrap it up, of course, Patreon. Come and support me on Patreon. Patreon.com/AndyDowling. Support starts from only $1 a month, and there are additional tiers if you want to get access to my exclusive Patreon podcast episode that comes out every week as well. So you can go over there, check it all out. It's a great way to support this podcast. I've got a bunch of goals to make this podcast bigger and better, and it's all driven by Patreon. So thank you so much to all the legends who are jumping on and supporting. In particular, my guys who are my social circle tier, my top tier in Patreon. Thank you very much for your support. Massive contributors to this podcast. And here are these legends: Andrew from Perth, Mick G from Sydney, Ash from Deniliquin, Dan from Dapto. We also have Rod from Rayleigh in North Carolina, Saul from Oxford in the UK, Patrick from Canberra, Liam from Brisbane, Chris from Sydney. We've also got Brendo from Leeton, Tim from Canberra, and James from Brisbane. Thank you very much, legends, and to everybody else that has jumped on Patreon and is supporting the cause. Much appreciated. Now, before we wrap it up, next week's episode, how are you guys finding these Monday morning drops as well? Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. It seems to be going really well. It makes sense to kick off your week with a brand new podcast rather than later in the week. So I kind of like it. But next week's episode will be another musician and an Australian musician. And for my Aussie listeners, especially my metal-loving mates, you'll probably know who this guy is. But I'll leave it at that. So until then, folks, thank you very much for the support. As always, go and do all the usual things. Sub to this podcast on all the platforms. Give me a bit of social media love. Share these episodes around to heaps of different people. Go back and say hello to all the guests that have been on this podcast. Give them a bit of anti-social love. It means a hell of a lot to me. And just take care. All right, until next week, folks. Bye-bye.